Appreciate you coming on, and sorry that you're my guinea pig. Try to do all this and learn how to interview others. I want to start with the dedication on my last book, introduce you. I said, to God who is my everything, to Stephanie who refused to let me settle for less than my best. And I appreciate that. And I want to introduce you to my audience as they watch this. And you are my agent, and you are the founder of Lighthouse Literary. And so just the first question I have for you is, what put you on the path to owning a literary agency?
And waiting for my own book to be published. I had an agent and my book was on submission, and it just seemed like it was taking forever. And I wanted to do something. I'm a get her done kind of person. And I just wanted to do something in the meantime. And there's just so many people out there looking for agents. And so I started interning at Golden Wheat, and where I was represented. And I did that for a year, and then I became an agent there for 2 years. And then I decided to open my own agency. And now it's been 3 years that we've had Lighthouse Literary.
Has it been what you thought it would be? I know you've had struggled with it and ups and downs. So what's been the highlight so far?
Oh, the highlight is always when we get to sign a contract. That's the best. So I've got 6 books plus the sequels, your sequels, and Janelle's got sequels coming out. So that's a lot of fun when you have the sequels. But I would say the low light is just, I have high expectations, and I'm hoping for a big 5 publisher for all of my clients, and have not achieved that yet. I have one client has a mid-sized publisher, and her sales are markedly better than everybody else. But getting one of those big publishers roped is my goal. Hopefully in 2026, going to be my year.
How does your faith, this is a Christian agency, how does your faith guide you personally and professionally?
Initially, my book was secular, and I had caved to the culture and was trying to do all the things to get my book published, and God did not like that. So God kept leading me to revise and really put a gospel message in it. And
Are we talking about this as in Shakespeare?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And once my heart had changed in that direction, I realized God has given me this gift to write and this gift to help other writers. I've got to use it for Him and glorify Him in it. And so that's what I try to do with the agency and with my writing.
Let me make a shift to that, because these are Stephanie's books. It's companion. They're all backwards, but that's all right. Yeah, I have my notes on it. Sorry. Read it last night. So this isn't Shakespeare. Hooked me in. And I tell you what, you got my emotions. You just had a finger on them, because I was angry with her. I was rooting for her, and trying to, so frustrated. And that was wonderful. This is Madison is the main character. And so I want to talk about a little bit about that. So bridge that gap, but why dance? Was that important to you in your past? And why this book?
I was a dancer and a dance teacher. I had a dance studio for 10 years and taught dance. I was never at the level that I could be a professional dancer, but I love dance. I've always loved it. And I thought Madison's dream of being a professional dancer would be at odds with her wanting to follow her boyfriend to college where they don't have a dance major. She has romanticized her boyfriend, made him into something that he's not,
right,
in her head. And so many girls do that. I did that with my high school boyfriend. So it comes from some of my own teenage angst, but also
love the line where she said, I'm in love with being in love, or that was the fantasy that she had.
Right. It's this whole romantic bubble of seeing something, a future that just completely romanticized and separated from reality. And so many people do that in their relationships to the point that, like her, they don't see the red flags and they don't see that the guy that they're with is, that their relationship is toxic. And
I think it's more of they don't want to see. Because even in her, I think she had all the signs. Like she talked about, you see these things, people tell you these things, but you just don't want to believe it because it crushes not only the relationship, but the dream.
And Shakespeare, love made me blind. And
You a big Shakespeare buff?
It's okay to be blind to his faults, but no. And I also
buff?
I'm sorry?
Are you a big Shakespeare buff?
To some extent. I find Shakespeare pretty difficult to read. I love his sonnets, though. And I love the iambic pentameter and the rhythm, and it's just so beautiful. So I pulled on that.
Okay.
And also I taught abstinence in the public schools for the Pregnancy Support Center for 5 years. In middle schools and high schools. And so a lot of that teaching of making good choices comes into play in the story. So that's why I developed the discussion questions at the end. And then I just wanted to go a little deeper. And so I talked to the publisher, and he was okay with me putting together a devotional study guide. And so that's how.
It's a 3-week study, right? Yes.
It's more
Is it targeting just females primarily?
I'm sorry?
Are you targeting females primarily, or is this for co-ed?
I think that whatever is true is co-ed because it speaks to cultural issues. It is showing how to root yourself in your identity in Christ so that you are unshakable when it comes to the world and what Scripture has to say about that. I don't do any word studies. I don't even have a bibliography. I've just mainly pulled from Scripture and what I have learned over the years, how to apply that. Hopefully, it will touch some hearts.
I absolutely loved it. I'm going to recommend it highly. It really tugs at a lot of things. I have 4 daughters. So that was like, I got really tied into that, frustrated. Of course, they're all adults now with their own children, but it's just that the struggling between the sets of parents, how they responded to all of the situation. I don't want to give anything away with it, but I really loved it. You are a fantastic writer, and I hope you do more. I do want to transition back or come by. So, as an agent, the ones that you have are so diverse and so different. What do you look for when you're selecting somebody? Because you have everything from children's picture books on up through adults.
Yeah, I've got a legal thriller on submission too. Yeah, I just look for story if I connect with the story, because I love to read all the genres except horror. But just if I connect with the writing, if I connect with the story, if I feel like if it's something that I just don't want to put down, that I keep thinking about after I've finished reading, that's the kind of story that I want to represent. And I have to love it because I have to read it 3 or 4 times before I send it out on submission. And so I have to really enjoy it and want to be in it and be with those characters. And I have to also have a connection with the writer. When we have that phone call, I have to know if, even before the phone call, I can tell if they are open to my critique. sometimes people aren't so open to critique, and the things that I want to change doesn't resonate with them. And that's okay. That means that I'm not a good fit for them.
It's significant suggestion and change for Watergrave with the romance angle at the very end, and just having that, which didn't even connect with me on the first two books in my original stories. And so that has become really half of her story now throughout. And so I loved that. I thank you for that. I love having the female angle on this too. Having 4 daughters and a wife certainly helps listening to them all day. But what was it about Watergrave that caught your attention?
I love crime stories and police procedurals and that genre. But I think it was just Abby's journey, her past trauma, her having to, the way you wanted to work it out through a series of just her letting go of those strongholds that were keeping her from her relationship with Christ. I love that. I love that concept. I love the story. I love Abby. But yeah, she did need a little bit of softening. Having a male author for a female main character is a little tricky. And she was...
I really do that from first person. I had that as a third person. Somehow I just felt like I needed to do it through her eyes, which I'm loving the feedback still, because sometimes can get in her shoes, but not necessarily all of her mind and her emotions.
And that's important, especially for this genre, if you're going to, because with a female main character, it's mostly written for women and they are the target audience. So that's why I felt like the romance was a good idea. Women love romance.
Okay. When you go through this process, and you alluded to that earlier, but when we were sending Watergrave out, how many rejections we get in the time? Of course, now, when I first started writing, you had to send it by mail. Then you had to wait for that process to get everything back. And now it's electronic, which makes it a little bit faster. But the waiting process, and I'm just one author, when you're sending things out, of course, we had to wait through several people and then we found WordCraft, which ends up being a perfect fit for me. And they're taking off with that and making the movie out of it. But with your other authors, you have several out there at one time. How do you go through the waiting process?
I have about 25 things on submission right now. So, yeah, a lot. And I start with the big publishers, and I try to research the editors to see what they have acquired in the past, what their wish list is, to know if it's a good fit for them. And then I make a list for each manuscript and I send to the biggest first, and then I work my way down. But there's a lot of big imprints. We have the big 5 publishers, secular publishers, and then we have
For those
5 Christian publishers.
Who are the big 5? Because you've thrown
Penguin Random House, Macmillan, Simon & Schuster, Hatchet, and HarperCollins. And almost all of those have a big Christian press too. Hatchet has Worthy and HarperCollins Christian. Penguin has a couple of different, I think Waterbrook is distributed by Penguin. But yeah, there's Waterbrook, Multnomah, I think that's how you say it, and Worthy and HarperCollins, but there aren't as many imprints for Christian presses, unfortunately. And the ones that are out there are mostly small. It's a little harder to get Tyndale, another big Christian Press. But it's a little harder to get a Christian book with a larger Christian publisher. And it is a long wait. It's a long wait because the editors are just, their inboxes are overflowing. They probably receive 200 or 300 queries a week. How do you even get to all that? Plus they're editing, they're launching books, it's just a lot. I spend a lot of time just sending out subs. I can't imagine that's one of the reasons I'm close to queries. I go to conferences and stuff and I'll open to conference attendees, but that's pretty much all I can handle because that'll give me 40 or 50 queries from going to something like that. And before, when I was open, I was getting that many a week. And it's a lot. It's hard to get to it. And it sometimes takes me 6 to 8 weeks just to get through. Somebody is waiting 6 to 8 weeks for my response. I can't imagine the editors. So that's why we have to wait 3 to 6 months for their response. And if it's not something that just really resonates with them or they just can't put it down, then they have to pass because there's 500 more queries waiting for them to go through and they just can't take on anything. So it's a very flat market because of that. It's a very hard market to break into.
And so what advice do you give a new author, despite their age, just coming into this and trying to break into that, where someone will take a look at it?
Most important thing in a story is the tension between what the main character wants and why they can't have it. That conflict there. And that tension has to be on the very first page, and there has to be interiority where you're feeling that tension. So my advice is craft. You have to learn the craft. You have to get critique. You have to go to workshops. One of the best things I ever did for my writing was to hire an editor to do a developmental edit of probably the third book that I wrote. The first two were so awful, I'm even embarrassed to think about them. But that third book, I paid for an edit, and I learned so much from that editor. And that was 15 years ago. And I have grown as a writer tremendously since then. So even that, she taught me. At the time, my stories were just one thing after another. There wasn't that tension. It wasn't building towards something. It's just, and if you can't stand critique, you're in the wrong business. I did critiques for a workshop not too long ago, and then I did them before the workshop, and then I did a face-to-face with the authors at the workshop, and one of the authors didn't come to the face-to-face, and she was there at the workshop, but she didn't come. And I think it's because I hurt her feelings. And you just can't be that touchy about your work. You have to listen to critique. You have to be able to take, it's hard. You have to put on your thick skin and really listen to what they're saying, because I was just trying to be encouraging and give her ideas for how she could improve so that she could sell it, so that she could get an agent. And I didn't think in the form that it was in, it would sell or that she would get an agent, because
that's one of the big humps I had to get over, is wanting just affirmation versus wanting help.
That is exactly
it. It's still a struggle because it's your baby. You throw it out there, but to hear those things and to take them in. I remember that my first creative writing course back in Southern Illinois, it just shocked me to the core. But he says, Mitchell, you don't want to write, you want to have written. And it took me a long time to understand that, but it's true. I wanted to rush to the ending and want everyone to go, yay. But if I didn't care about the story. Why was I? How could I expect them to? And accepting that and opening up to those, you have to be vulnerable. And if you can't take that, and like you said, in this business, you're in the wrong business. Since you want to write just for yourself, that's fine. But if you want others to engage in it, and you did talking about that tension, you did a fantastic job in this book.
Oh, thank you.
Because every time she gets so close, those tapes that play just drag her down. So it was like, that's what made me frustrated for her. You want to just slap her around. But to tap into the reader's emotions and to get that where it's not just easy, that's like with a mystery. Going backwards and how much is too easy and how much is enough for them to figure it out or kind of figure it out, the balance. And with an emotional piece like you have, how do I keep them engaged when she keeps doing the same cycle over and over? It's balance. It's a really good balance. And you did a fantastic job with that.
Oh, thank you.
What's next for you?
I am working on polishing up another YA Christian contemporary. It's coming out in the fall from WordCraft. It's called Into the Crashing Waves. Oh. And it is a reimagining for teens of the Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah. A lot of people in today's world have not read Count of Monte Cristo, but it's one of my favorite classics. So I wanted to take that story and imagine it for a modern teen. So in the Count of Monte Cristo, he is falsely imprisoned and then he escapes and he gets this treasure that one of his cellmates had stolen, and he becomes another person. He assumes another identity and goes back and gets revenge on the people that put him in jail. So my main character is a boy who's in the foster system, and he finally has everything coming together for him, and he's a believer, and then everything just comes crashing down, and he ends up in juvie, and he's falsely accused, and he meets someone in juvie that is working for the people that put him in jail, at the drug dealers. And so it's got some tough stuff in it too, like my other book, but it's a completely different kind of tough stuff. And this one is going to deal, instead of with toxic relationships, it's going to deal with revenge and forgiveness and what that looks like for a Christian who's so angry at God and angry at the world, and how Christ works in your heart. The Holy Spirit works in your heart and turns that around.
Sounds exciting. I can't wait to read that one. Is that releasing this fall?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So are you doing a study with that one as well, or?
No, I do have some discussion questions so far, but they relate to Count of Monte Cristo. I was hoping people could use it as a guide. If in schools, teachers could use it. So I did some core curriculum questions to go with it that compare and contrast with the Count of Monte Cristo. I don't know if I'll go any deeper than just discussion questions at the end, but I do like to have those.
Is forgiveness going to be your thread? Because that's big in this one, forgiveness itself.
Yes.
Is that a big issue for you with the why?
I think that guilt and regret are hard for everyone, but especially teens. So, yes, I think so. I think that is. I also have a thriller in the works for the next year. So I have a contract on that one too, but I think I need to tone it down a little bit for the Christian market. It still needs a lot of work. I may have to have you read that and help me on that.
You talk about toning it down for the Christian thing. That's one of the things that you helped me work through. And Mike Parker from WordCraft, it was nice to get that niche because I kept getting rejected all through my life, that being too Christian for the secular and too gritty for the Christian. But I do believe there is that middle niche, because you consider the themes in the Bible, they'll tiptoe around subjects, and they deal with rape, they deal with murder, and they deal with all of these things. And so I believe there is a market for that.
And that balance is even harder in the YA space, because when you think of a Christian YA book, you think sweet, clean, nothing hard, nothing difficult. And the ones that are out there that do deal with those hard issues, most of them are self-published because they couldn't find a home for it. So I'm very thankful to WordCrafts for letting me get this book out there.
Okay. I appreciate you being on my first interview podcast. Any last words for anybody that you'd like to share, or about you? Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you again for pushing me to get better each time. It's really made a difference in my life and in my stories, and I hope so in Abby's journey.
It's been my pleasure to work with you, and I'm looking forward to continuing this journey into the next 3 books, 3 more.
At least, yeah. I want to keep churning them out, but Abby's Road is over halfway done. That's the first draft, obviously. Then we go through the several revisions, but I like where it's going. So,
me too. It's going to be great.
All right. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.